guys, and welcome back to another Unfiltered Gamer board game review. Today's I got a double feature for you. We're reviewing two games, Stars Plus and Spoil Me Not by Korea Board Games. Two games, one of them is for 3 to 6, 30 minutes to play, that's Spoil Me Not. And Stars Plus, I believe, is actually probably about the same, 2 to 6, 20 minutes, yep. And in their games, respectively, Star Plus is a game where you're going to get a hand of cards. Everybody is as well, about 9 cards. It depends on the number of players. More players is less cards, less players is more cards. You're going to be playing cards on your turn, starting with 1, then 2, then 3, then 4, then 5, then 6 in a circle. What does that mean? Well, on your turn, you start with the number 1. And in your hand, you're going to have different cards. Maybe it's a -1, maybe you have a 2, maybe you have a 3, maybe a negative 4. And you're playing cards to equal to the number for that specific turn. So you play a 1 on turn 1. On turn 2, maybe you play a 2 and a 3 and a -3, and that would give you 2. And on turn 3, you're going to play a 3 all the way up to 12, and then you're going to go ahead and do that again in a sequence. If that doesn't make sense, I'll explain it in a second. Trying to get rid of cards in your hand. If you can be the first person to do so, the game ends and you score points in your discard pile were equal to the number of cards you've played. Whoever has the most points is the winner. Spoil Me Not is a game of gift giving, but you're always trying to give people things so you don't end up with the bad gift. It's kind of like White Elephant, the board game, in a way. You're going to be playing cards face up, starting one person will be playing cards face on the field, everybody else is going to play a card face down. We're going to reveal them, and then we're going to start choosing players based on the cards you want. So I'll pick a card from somebody, that person will pick a card from somebody, and so on and so forth. The last person to pick is going to get the dunce card, a card that they don't want, and then you're going to score the cards that you have to pick. Sometimes you're going to get one specific card that is all negative of a certain color, or maybe it's like ×2 of all these colors, or maybe you get a 7 or a 9 or a 10. And afterwards, at the end of the game, if you have the most points, you're the winner. A game about gift giving and torturous backstabbing. Anyway, let me go and show what the games look like. Alright, so here are the components for Star Plus, and then we're going to soon talk about Spoil Me Not. Right now you're going to get a deck of cards for Star Plus, and you're going to get your box, and 2 rules. 1 in Korean, 1 in English. In the game, you're going to start off by giving everybody 9 cards, and it differs depending on the number of players in the game. For this, we'll be doing 9, though. On the turn, all you need to do is simple. Discard all the cards from your hand. This entire deck is this entire stack of cards here is your hand, and you'll be doing playing cards on every round. The first turn is going to be 1, and you got to play 1 down. On the second turn, you need to play 2. And let's see if we got that. We got a 2, -1, and a 1. That's 2. And then the third turn will be 3. However, whenever you play 3 or more cards down to equate to a number, the next player has to play that the next number, and if they don't, they draw 4 cards from the deck. If at any point they can't play, they'll have to draw 2 cards. So with this little 3 thing here, it's called a black hole, and it gives the next player, kind of like in Uno, the wild draw 4. It's nasty. However, luckily for this player, he's got a 3, and he plays out in the third round. So then we go to 4. This player has to play a 4. Does he have anything that equates to 4? He's got a 4 right there. He could do that, or maybe if he had something else, like, let's see, 6 and a -2, he could do that as well. That would equate to 4. And as you can see, his discard pile is getting bigger. He has 3 points in it right now. 3 points for this one, and 1 point for him. So 1, 2, 3, 4, turn 5. We're going to look at this hand here. He's got a nice 5 there. Just go ahead and use that. Turn 6. We got a 6. Turn 7. Huh? We got 7. Nope, we got a 4 to -3. That's not going to help. 9, 6. We got it right here. Here we go. So we got a 9 and a -3, which is 6, and a 1, which is 7. And that means this player has to get 8. Otherwise, he's going to have to draw 4 cards. Does he have 8? He does. 5 and a 3. That's 8. 9 for this player. We got a 9 here. It's got a 5 and a 4. 9. Okay, so he can't play, he doesn't have 10 here, so he can't do that, and because of that, he's going to have to draw 2 cards from the deck, 1 and 2, and that will end his turn. Next, we will go for 11, and this guy doesn't have 11. Luckily, he has Zeus here. It's a special card. Special cards do special things. This card will let you negate this and pass it on to the next player. So it still stays at 11, or 10, sorry, it still stays at 10, but it passes to the next player. So he couldn't play his 10, so he drew. He can't play his 10, but he had a Zeus, which means he gets to go to the next player, and he has to play 10. Also, there are special cards in the game that I didn't talk about. First of all, you've got other special cards. This one here. Whenever you play a 9, it's going to reverse turn order. If you play an 8 or a 7, they're going to make you draw cards from one or the other player on each side of you. So this player is going to go ahead and go through here, and he's got 8 and a 2, which is 10, no problem. Now we've got 11 over here, 8, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10, 11 right here, no big deal. So then we're going to move on to this one here. This is a 9, he can't do it, he's going to draw. And play is going to continue in this fashion until somebody has emptied their hand. Once, or the deck over here has been emptied, one of the two. Afterwards, you're going to count up all the cards that have been associated in your discard pile, subtract them by the number of cards in your hand, and if you're the person that went out first, you're going to add 5 to that and include that in your score. The person with the most score at the end of the game is the winner of Stars Plus. Alright, so the next game up on the tabletop is the Spoil Me Not game. Once again, Korean and English rules. We got 4 different sets of cards here. Depending on the number of players, how many cards go to each player. In a 3-player game, everybody gets 20, 4, 15, 5, 12, and 6, 10. You're going to choose a player to start off the game. You got your box and your rules. You don't need that anymore. Now, in a 4-player game, everybody's got their 20 cards here, and they can actually go ahead and look at them. The person who starts with this little heart symbol is going to go first. And the game is about gift giving. As you can see here, there are a plethora of different numbers in the game, as well as different ability cards. Maybe there's ×0, which makes all of that color ×0, or negative or positive. If you have one of these cards, it's negative. If you have 2, it's positive. If you have 3, it's negative once again. And then you've got just simple numerical cards based on the color. Now, you're going to want to, as the main player, give a bad card away. You're going to simply start off on the first turn with the first player playing the card they want to play and putting a little heart on it. Every other player is then going to look through their hand and play a card face down. Your hope is to get the player who's playing first to want to choose your card. If you can do that, then that player is going to allow you to draw next. The thing is, the last player to have to pick has to take this card. And this card is nasty. It says all of your blue cards are now worth 0. So you don't want that card. Everybody's going to put a card face down like this, and then you're going to go ahead and flip them all over at the same time. Okay, so now this player who has the heart is going to pick one of these cards. Obviously, he wants the 10. Thank you for giving him such a good gift. He'll put this over here. Then the next player, who is the one who's picked from, will get to choose between these 2 cards. He will select the 7, because that's a good gift, right? Next player is going to go ahead and take this 5, and because the 5 player gave us the worst gift, he is forced with taking the -0. Or, the ×0. But luckily for him, he's going to get the first player start token. It just means that from now on, all of his blue cards are worth nothing. He's going to go ahead and look in his hand, see if he's got anything he doesn't want to keep. He will go for a negative green card. He could also go for a plus card, but it's always going to be the last player. He's going to have to take a card that... he's going to try and make it some other kind of strategy, I would imagine. But for me, I like to just take the negative cards here, or the bad cards. Everybody's going to look through their hand and try and give him something he thinks he might want. Alright. And once again, play down. Here's a 6. And then everybody's going to reveal, once again. And he's going to go ahead and pick. Now, this 8's pretty good, and this 9's pretty good. Even if this was high, though, he wouldn't want it, because an 8 with that ×0 is still going to be 0. So all the blue cards are worth nothing to him. So it's going to be between the 6 and the 6 and the 9. So he's going to take the 9 for sure. This player then goes, and he wants the 8, because he's already got a blue there. Maybe he'll get a ×2. This player will take the 6, and leaving this player with the negative. Any green cards he has currently will be worth negative points. If at the end of the game he only has 1 of these cards, all green will be negative. If he gets 2 of these, 2 negatives turns into a positive, but if he gets 3, he goes back to a negative again. And players are going to continue playing this over and over again until all of the cards have been depleted. Once that's been done, you're going to add up all the cards of all the different colors and include the different special cards, which ×0 to certain things or make things negative. And whoever has the most positive points at the end of the game is the winner of Spoil Me Not. Alright, so let's how you play the games Star Plus and Spoil Me Not. 2 pretty simple card games, right? Let's talk about Star Plus first. They both start with S. Star Plus is a really cool game that involves obviously discarding cards, trying to get rid of them. And it adds that little technique of, do you want to get rid of more cards early in the game to make people draw more but suffer later because you don't have the cards you need for the bigger numbers? Yes, also after 12, you have to go back to 1 again. Remember, it doesn't always keep going up. It stops at 12 and goes back to 1. So that makes it kind of unique in that aspect of when is it going to be your turn, and can you do the certain things you want to do on your turn? How can you avoid suffering the most penalties, as well as you want to get rid of your hand as fast as possible. It works very well. It's a really cool little game. I really enjoyed this. I've played it many times. I played it for fun a couple times too afterwards, just to explain. Instead of actually explaining the game to somebody, we just played it. That's how simple the game is. Really nice and fun. And it's one of those kind of card games that you play with grandma and grandpa, no big deal. They would get this game really easily. I really, really like this game. I think if it even sounds remotely cool to you, you should definitely check it out nevertheless. Spoil Me Not is a more take that different game that is it's interesting too, because you're kind of always wanting as the first player to give a gift that you don't necessarily want people to have, in which case they're going to give you better stuff. Because if you put a really, really nice card out to begin with, everybody's going to try and give poorly so that you don't pick theirs. And it's really weird, but sometimes it's necessary. There's certain aspects and times in the game where you're going to want to do that. Or maybe putting a negative out there is going to be beneficial for you, because it's going to allow you to turn your negative into a positive. And all these scores get really high at the end of the game, and somebody can really crush other people in this game. And you might have some people that get upset with this kind of game, because yes, you can give somebody a really hard time by never picking them until the last point, where they're going to get 0 times green, 0 times blue, and negative green or whatever, and so they're left with negative points at the end of the game. It's mean, and it's kind of naughty nice kind of thing. It's a fun game that works with kids, but definitely it's going to be for an audience that's more into that kind of take that action. Very simple, very straightforward, really cool little game as well though. They're both really fun little card games that I really do enjoy. It's ones that just come out really simple, really easy to play. If you're interested in checking these guys out, go ahead and do so. Spoil Me Not and Star Plus. I enjoyed them quite a bit.